Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Final Fantasy X. We are here in Besaid, and this episode is going to be a boss rush. What bosses, you might say? Evil Aeons. So around Spira, there are like evil summoners in Yevon who are very much here to stop Yuna and, take her out because she's an enemy of Yevon. And so returning to Besaid Village, we have Dark Valefor.
Infidel.
Oh, the glitches are crazy. But Dark Valefor is the easiest of the Aeons, but the Dark Aeons are super interesting because they drop ribbon armors. And as you know, I have 3 ribbon armors, and one of them, and all 3 of them thus far were gotten from farming 99 Dark Matters, so these are much, much easier. Now, if you don't have max stats, you might be missing a lot, but once you have auto life, you can put that on Waka and just keep doing overdrives with Waka, because overdrives can't miss. But at the moment, we have max stats, and Valefor was not built, Godlover, to survive maximum stats. But this is the kind of shock to the system when you've just, beaten Unalesca. You're like, oh, I can go on the airship, let's go back to Besaid and collect, Orin's jet sphere to get his, final overdrive. That's why we went back at the very beginning of the game, because this beast would have stood in our way. And believe me, if we weren't at max stats, she would be terrifying. She'd be dodging everything and, doing so much damage and risking overdrives. But unfortunately for Valefor, she can't withstand 12 hit max damage attack reels. So we get the overkill. And to be honest, if you make a save before Valefor, she is the easiest. You just have to have Waka's overdrive full, do attack reels, and then you have it. But after you beat Valefor, we can check out that Minerva bangle soon. But they are dropping ribbon armors. So if you get armors, you definitely want them, because they have the potential for ribbon and break HP limit and potentially 2 slots. So they're pretty awesome. But yeah, we beat Valefor. Besaid Village is free for us to enter. And if you go to the Crusader tent, you get a nice little cutscene.
I hear Sin made a big mess of Bavel, eh? The far plains ringing with Luzu's laughter, I bet.
So yeah, really sweet little scene there. Now, we go to Beacon Desert and speak to this person, and they speak fluent Albed. They're saying that their child is trapped in home, and if you don't speak to her, then nobody will let you go near home. So they say it's all destroyed. But if you simply speak to her, and then she'll bring you back to the crater of home, and in the crater is Dark Ifrit. And it is then, if you then go to home, because she kind of puts you behind where you usually have the barrier that you can't go through. So if you go on, yeah, actually, just go check by the cliff. Really subtle there, but if you go forward, you end up fighting Dark Ifrit. And there's a big shocking moment of, oh my goodness, she was a Yevon priest the whole time. So, Dark Ifrit. Slightly harder than Valefor, insofar as he can take more than 1 attack reels. But yeah, don't be like me. Win a battle. Have full overdrive. Don't be disorganized and in a rush like I was. But if you actually equip everybody with Comrade, that's going to be a huge thing as well. So I'd like to get Victor, win 2 easy fights, get them to full, and then equip everybody with Comrade. And I'm just showing that you would think that Blizzaga would do max damage because, he's a fire guy, but no. No, it doesn't do as much as you would think. But the whole issue with Ifrit is no matter what you attack him with, he will counterattack. Now, since we have max defense and auto protect, we're not going to die straight away. And since we have max magic as well, and like we aren't breaking the HP limit, there's not a major threat. The only big issue is if he gets his overdrive full, and then he'll do the AoE attack. But even then, we can have auto life. So nothing to worry about there either. So just keeping everybody's HP up, because for Waka and Tidus, their celestial weapons damage scales, and Riku as well, sorry, but their celestial weapons damage scales with the percentage of HP that they have. Now granted, they have super high luck, they're probably going to be critting anyway, so they're probably going to keep doing max damage. But after a couple of basic attacks, we can unleash our overdrive. Now, if we had it done sheer a couple of times, we probably would have been getting, you know, max damage there. But he actually has such high defense that, you know, we're not doing the all nines, you know. But again, Meteor Strike does so much damage with Comrade, they get full overdrives. And then you just entrust to Waka. Waka is just the boss killer. That's you know, we made fun of him in his beach ball, but his overdrive is just incredible. And like that, 2 Aeons down. And can anybody guess where Ixion, the lightning Aeon, might be? Put in the comments to see if you could guess it. So we go to, did you guess? The Thunder Plains. So you approach this guy by the lightning tower. He'll call us a heathen. We get the vibe that maybe he is not our best pal. I don't know why we chase him. Like, what are we doing? What is the plan? Like, are we just going to kill him in the Thunder Plains?
Something up there?
Kamari just getting a bit of a spider sense. And yeah, it's really funny because these weren't in the original release of the game. So you'll see in all these like extra cutscenes, they kind of use stock phrases that would have been already recorded lines earlier in the game. Like there's very little original dialogue that actually happens in these little cutscenes. So like that when the villagers are all there, the stay away from the summoner, that was what they said to Roxas at the beginning of the game. And like, you're a bad man. Like they just start reusing the stock footages, which I just stock lines, I should say, which I think is just pretty funny. But here we have Dark Ixion. And thus far, this is like the first different music we've gotten. You had like the regular battle theme for Valefor and Ifrit, and now here we have you know, different music. So that's pretty cool. And he counterattacks, but Ixion's accuracy isn't high enough to hit us with max evasion and luck. So this is all a little bit easier. But the main thing is to not let him get an overdrive. That would be bad. Because obviously their overdrives will just do way too much damage. And it's kind of at this stage that I realized, oh actually, don't have auto life on. Should probably do that if we don't survive. And this is Thundaja. So you might be thinking, oh, just put like Null Shock on. You're grand. And Null Shock won't work. I put it on just to show you guys that it won't work, but it will actually pass through Null Shock. But I believe if I had Lightning Eater armor, same with any of the Elemental Eaters, I believe I would absorb their spell attacks, even though they kind of phase through Null Shock. But now he has Overdrive, so now we have to be careful. And when we are worried about an Overdrive situation, we luckily just kill it with an Overkill. But if you're slightly lower level and you're not doing as much damage, the big thing there is to summon an Aeon, and it will just get exploded by the Overdrive, but then you'll come back in and you'll be grand. But now the lightning shocks and like kills the older man. But then we discover this child who is the summoner is in fact a ghost that also died while on the Thunder Plains. And now we have to, for the first time, find and battle Ixion again to complete the encounter. So we have to basically fight him twice. And this time, Ixion's Overdrive charges slightly faster, so you'll notice that like we're attacking and it is zooming up. And what's interesting as well is that he will use the move Aerospark. And Aerospark is troublesome because, and I throw on Shell there as an example, and I throw on Auto Life as an example. Because a lot of these Aeons are like, oh, you have these super cool endgame abilities. Well, I'm going to just have Dispel built into my special attacks. So it will literally hit your character and dispel everything. The halo is gone. But Waka can still counterattack, which is quite interesting. So we're going to heal up. And I'm going to reapply Auto Life. Because, you know, hopefully we're not going to end up in trouble. And once again, I'm always like, use Tidus's Overdrive, but then I'm like, no, you should just give Waka Tidus's Overdrive. Waka does more hits. Waka is the better option always. And like what's handy as well, like just doing the max damage is great as well. And like in the turn economy of like one turn, which is brilliant. But Ixion will only counterattack one person, you know? And there you can see we're not doing the best of damage with Overdrives. So there's a defense there which is formidable. So sometimes just quick hitting and basic attacking is like the way to go, you know? And here we are, overkilled before the Overdrive could go off again. So that is brilliant. And 3 Aeons down. So, and yeah, we're getting these like great shields for Tidus and whatnot. So that's always really good. But can you give a guess as to where you think the next Aeon might be? I'm pretty sure we all guessed that like Shiva would be in Makalania, right? So as we approach the door, we are into the fight. And I love all the skin palettes, like the dark Aeons look amazing. And I should have been doing it with all the other ones, but anyway, silly me. But like, definitely mug them. They have useful items to steal, you know? But the problem with Shiva is she is so quick. Her Heavenly Strike has death as like a lovely ability with her Heavenly Strike, so Ribbon can't defend against that. And her Diamond Dust will do so much damage. But I thought it'd be a little thematic callback. Anima faced us inside the temple, and now Anima's going to defend us outside the temple. And if I wasn't rushing, and if you guys are struggling, like, definitely have all your Aeons with overdrive. Well, your multi-hit Aeons, because realistically, your Aeons are, they're a single attack overdrive is just the same as, certain Aeons with like max strength doing a single attack. Because again, if I had have had enough overdrive to cast Oblivion, that would have been such a big damage boost. And even against the Aeon, she's doing like 83,000. Crazy numbers. Absolutely crazy numbers. But she's no overdrive, so we can just keep hitting her again and again. And like Valefor and the other ones, like Shiva doesn't have the most HP. Her just danger is, the issue with her death status on her Heavenly Strike and her just unbelievably powerful Diamond Dust. And Diamond Dust dispels auto life as well, so that isn't fun either. But she's taken down. And then what happens, funny enough, you get the same thing that happened the last time you left Makalania Temple. The Guado chase you. So you literally have to run out of here, fighting the same lousy, weak enemies. But once you escape and come back, basically the Guado were driven out by everybody else. They basically left. And you're able to go visit the temple again, which is quite nice. But you go to Zanarkand. And you'll remember when we were getting the Sun Crest for Tidus, I was screaming at the screen being like, make sure you collect it now, make sure you collect it now, don't leave the Sun Crest here, don't go too far into the story, literally, don't leave this room without collecting the whatchamajig, the Sun Crest. And the reason for that is there's a Dark Aeon here, and one of the more powerful ones. So Dark Bahamut is inside Lady Unalesca's lair. And this guy is a toughie. So he counterattacks with Impulse, his special attack that he always does. And he will do that specifically after 8 hits every time. And this includes multi-hit overdrives. So attack reels is not our best friend because he can throw out an impulse, potentially get a mega flare, all of this counting and calculating just like Nemesis. But I'm just going to preface it here now. Doing all these cheers was for naught. I don't know what I was really thinking. But we can counterattack him when he just does a basic attack for his turn. But we definitely want auto life. 100%. But what you guys mightn't know about Impulse is obviously, we've seen Bahamut use it as our own Aeon. But Impulse applies the following. power break, magic break, armor break, mental break. So even though, and you'll see there we did our 8 hits, countdown reached its conclusion, and like we survived that. It also does petrification, I should have mentioned that. Like the petrification so strong it'll probably shatter. All that fun stuff. And obviously, and there's where you'll see, before we were like tanking those hits, but then all of a sudden we get 75,000 damage done to us, and now all of a sudden we're not healing for max damage? The absolute confusion. Completely disregard what I said earlier. I had a memory. I must have been thinking of the Nemesis fight. You can do multi-hit overdrives. Completely ignore me. Because I literally was sitting here being like, did I forget to cut out like a loss? I just sit there being like, because if he impulses, we're dead. We're not surviving another impulse. But yeah, I just figured for a cool alt skins, we can have Bahamut versus Bahamut. Purely just to take the Mega Flare, and I just was curious to see if he'd even survive it. And I hope you don't mind me using the super speed, but I'm kind of like, yeah, we've seen these overdrives before. So, like, for future overdrives and things, with those long animations, I'm going to just fast forward through them. But with a shield, Bahamut can tank it. But unfortunately, you know, he got one good hit in. I'll give him that. He took the Mega Flare, he did a hit. Like, what more can you ask of the big dragon boy? And yeah, I don't even have good, like, not even perfect armor. I don't even have good armor on Yuna. Like, it's actually a disgrace that I'm just, like, running in here being like, yeah, half prepared, whatever else. And now here we have Impulse. And I learned something that I didn't know could happen. Yuna survived shattering. I thought she was literally going to explode into a trillion pieces. Didn't know you could survive that, being honest. And then here we have Abed Potion, Unpetrifying, to save the day. Auto Phoenix, doing work. And like, at least with Yuna having like all her stats maxed, her agility will at least let her have a turn, you know, even without haste. Having auto haste in her armor. But like, I will be getting her, because I actually unlocked a very cool armor for her. That's going to be in the next episode. But again, here we are, finally. I'm like, okay, brilliant. Let's just grand summon something that hits multiple times, please. So I can just do a bunch of damage to this Aeon. And like, oh my god, the graphical glitches. Like, I love the game, but like, this port drives me bananas. But yeah, I'm just zooming by this, guys. It's like, you've seen the animation, it's cool, but I kind of play it as normal just to like count the damage. And yeah, it's not that great. He's resistant to overdrive damage. But I'm hopefully going to get him into overdrive range, which I do, which means then Anima's going to take Mega Flare after surviving an impulse. So that's kind of your perfect moment. You kind of want to kind of summon your Aeon, do an overdrive, then take his overdrive, and then when you're kind of back, he's having a delay from doing his overdrive, and you guys are kind of back on an even footing. But I also just want to say as well, I'm just so happy with like the engagement on like the latest episode with like the Nemesis fight and everything. Like everyone's just been super supportive, joining on the live. I had like I think 6 people on live the other day, and like it's just such a boost to me, and I just really appreciate it. Because I've actually never beaten. I think I've won against Ifrit and Valefor. But like I had never gone down this path of like getting your stats super good, getting your equipment super good, like Ribbon. Never even like conceivably had Ribbon. I think I got Ribbon from maybe the one Valefor fight I managed to win. But yeah, I'm just super like Bahamut, never thought I could win. Dark Mega Sisters like always stressed me out, and I was like, oh, I could only ever maybe win if I like did the trick of like dividing them up and fighting them one at a time. But next episode you'll see me fight them all 3 at a time, because this all harkens back to I might just say it now. Sure, we're just watching the fight. But that weapon I got from the Nemesis fight was a break damage limit 3 free item slot for Kimahri. And just going down along, I happened to see, oh, I have a magic plus 20%. That's really useful. And oh, I have magic booster. I can also give a magic booster, and I also have like MP, 1 MP cost. So like, I probably also could have given him like magic 20, magic 10% to make him like absolutely crazy, busted, powerful. But what's interesting about the stats in this game, they allow the application of cheer, and they also allow the application of up to 35% extra damage. Now, for the most part, you're doing max damage anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But with magic, it tends to be that little bit weaker. But Kimahri is going to be spamming ultimas like it is going out of fashion. And he is going to absolutely destroy the Maga Sisters. But again, I didn't have really good armor for him, so things got really, really dicey by the end. But that's a story for the other day. I'll let you guys watch and see what you think of the fight yourselves. But yeah, I just remember sitting there being like, I can make like the best magic weapon ever. And it's just so funny that it ended up being Kimahri's weapon. And I'll tell you why, because I always feel Kimahri's like underloved in the Final Fantasy X community. They don't know what to do with him. They just think he has like no specified role of his own. His overdrives are super weird and cumbersome to get. And like, when you compare Riku and Waka, it's like, what other overdrives do you need? Like, poor Lulu, like, her whole situation with like the Fury spells, and you're like, you're never going to get them to do like tons and tons of damage, But here we have our Maga Sisters, who are going to take a Mega Flare, ? But sorry, I was talking about Kimahri. Kimahri is often like overlooked and underutilized, and in my playthrough I tried my best. Obviously the thing started off as a Unity run. We were trying to like make sure every character got a chance to shine, got a chance to be used, and Kimahri was really useful. He was like our early game thief. Him and Riku were robbing things left, right and center. It was super useful. But then when we hit that big power spike in Bavel, we were grinding for the Mega Phoenixes. In lore, Kimahri was off fighting Maester Seymour and like told Una to leave him behind and go continue the pilgrimage, and he will die defending her. But he wasn't in the party. And he missed all of that like chances to like level and get tons of experience. So then towards the end of the game, I couldn't really use him as much because he kind of just was a lot weaker than everybody else. And I just felt super bad, even though he got us tons of level 3 spheres. But I felt like this is Kimahri's like moment. I was gifted an awesome weapon from the game, and then Kimahri can just, show an awesome, way to fight the Maga Sisters. And obviously, if I had been more patient and if I had gotten weapons instead of armors from the Aeons, the weapons from the Aeons give break damage limit and certain other abilities. And basically, I could have gotten a similar, even just break damage limit, magic, and 2 free slots. I could have had magic plus 20 and magic booster, you know? And basically, if I had 3 characters with a similar enough build, the Maga Sisters would have just been ultimate to death. But, again, I don't want to spoil. We're in the middle of this one, where we essentially have Bahamut on his last legs. The character model is like hunched over, but it has an overdrive. So when in doubt, get the Aeons out. Somebody just shield us. But I am curious, because I did save, like I basically saved a save point, and I'm basically not going to touch that save point. I'm just going to leave it for trying the Dark Aeons in other different ways. Because I do feel like 9 times out of 10 it's just use walkout, use his overdrive, and eventually they will falter, you know? So that's where I really was excited to try this Magic Booster Ultima setup. But as for this guy, the real trick with this particular fight is just knowing the fact that armor break and all those different things are applied on impulse, dispelling those away. Like that's really all that kind of it is. You just have to dispel away your, you know, negative armor breaks and stuff, so you're able to take the next physical damage and just attack, dispel everything away once it's impulsed, and summon an Aeon when he's about to Mega Flare, basically. I don't know why I'm like obsessed with regen as if it's going to be like the savior of mankind. I don't know why I keep applying it. Super weird. But given that Bahamut is the faith that started this all, I thought it would be poignant if I could try and have it that Titus gives the final hit. Wasn't to be this time, unfortunately. But, I mean, the faith of Bahamut is the one that started us on this whole journey. And I will say this is the one interesting thing. Dispel doesn't dispel Autolife. And here we have Impulse as a counterattack. And then it has its turn, doing max damage because obviously Tidus was armor broken, but he has auto life. So in a way, he's no longer armor broken, so we don't have to dispel him. He's died and come back, so all the negative statuses are gone. And again, you see, even though Waka's on super low HP, he's critting. So once he crits, he still does his max damage, even though his damage modifier is much lower, due to the fact that his HP is so low. And with that, another Aeon down. Next episode, we're going after the others. Thanks for watching, guys.